All right, this is Pops. Tulsa King is back. This was a show from Taylor Sheridan that I really, really enjoyed. Sylvester Stallone totally won me over as this mobster, and I want to get into season 2, episode 1 right now. Tell you what I thought. Let's do it. All right, Tulsa King season 2. That's right. Dwight Manfredi had been arrested at the end of season 1. We get our quick little recap here, which actually is pretty comprehensive. I think you get a lot of the high points that you needed. You get introduced to a lot of the characters that we should be looking out for after the whole, montage of who I am and I've been arrested. I want to go there. You see a little bit about how he gets his money, his partnerships, meeting different people, his driver, his friends. It works out pretty well. There's a quick shot of the mafioso part, like, hey, we having him sit down and hey, you're going to Tulsa. This is the previous boss, and of course, we get a shot later on. Of course, Dana Delaney. You see Andrea Savage as the ATF agent. It culminates with some violence and him being arrested, some different things going on. So here we go. Let's get into this episode. Now, I will say they just do a really nice job of slow burning us, right? Giving us a little bit. We're going to get a little bit of action, but we just kind of have to have some setup. I was very critical of Tulsa season 1, kind of like that slow build, the first 3 or 4 issues. I was really immersed. I thought it had a lot of style. Stallone was really way more impressive as this aging mafioso guy who'd been behind the prison walls for so long, coming to Tulsa trying to make a name for himself. Here we see how everything kind of went haywire with this ATF situation. He gets arrested. This is him going into jail. And again, they waste no time with having something fun. So this guy, he's doing the typical alpha male threat, covered in tattoos, have his head shaved, and he's just threatening people. He's yelling at people, that kind of thing. And what does our guy do? He makes friends with this little guy here, this little poor little guy here. He's taking a couple shots to the face, and he's like giving him the whole, hey, listen, here's what you do. And he talks about how if you pass me a salt shaker, I'm going to take it, I'm going to cram it up your eye hole, that kind of thing. It's really, really funny coming to this guy. Like, imagine this guy, and he's like, no, you threaten to pay someone else to do it to him, kind of thing, right? Well, you know that this is going to end with some sort of conflict, and it just takes a little bit. Like, we just have a few minutes before it gets to the point where White definitely lays him out, and then you have the quick little shot of the gargoyle. What happened to him? It's like, well, he's just taking a nap. And there you go. You have the smile. So I loved it. We get right into our credits, and then we cut right to the story of everyone not knowing what to do and how they pick up the pieces. It's done really well before we have our bail bond court hearing for him to try to get out of jail or not. Of course, it takes a little sideways because Tina actually has so much money invested in real estate. She takes out a little deed loan, gets the money that he needs to 300,000, I think, on a $3 million bond, and he's immediately out. And because of that, the FBI is freaking out because here she is. She's getting the phone call thinking that he'll go for her. Now, this was kind of a weird disconnect for me because you never really got the sense in season 1 that he was ever going to be violent towards Stacy. But she was really, really duplicitous and really did him wrong with how this kind of played up with like this whole money thing, and she kind of like suckered him basically. This was a very much kind of like an entrapment type of thing in season 1. There's actually things that he actually did. They didn't get him on any of that. They got him on this weird shady dicey thing. So that's kind of the first layer. The first subplot will be with Stacy. Is Dwight going to go after her or not? A cutaway here to the mafioso stuff, and here we have our current boss who took over. Now, if you didn't see season 1, I will say there is a quick shot of it with Chicky taking out the Ivernesi boss before, right? And I felt like that needed to be a little more spelled out for folks, but Domenick Lombardozzi he's fine. I think he's satisfactory in this role. He's not one of my favorite elements of this show, but this is all of them. They're back and forth about what they're going to do and how they're going to handle things before they cut back to him trying to figure out how to deal with being followed and all the drama. This is them at the bar, basically just them sorting things out before he returns to the stable to visit his horse. Now, do you guys like Dana Delaney in this role? I mean, I don't know. Do you think he should be with Stacy or do you think he should be with her? Now, I don't think Dana Delaney looks bad, but I'm not enthralled by this. They kind of had this thing where they really play her up, and he's totally like enamored with her. And she basically just invites him at like a fundraising thing, and it's like a peeing contest with the local pot people, and that's kind of how those play out. Then he's confrontational with the feds. He confronts Stacy, who thinks that she's going to get killed. He's not doing that, obviously. And then there's just shenanigans when they make it back to this is their place now. So this was really, really interesting because of how radically changed and upgraded everything was now. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. This was the comedic element of the episode. We're like a half hour in. They're going to go to that fundraiser that I was mentioning, and they go to the tailor. Oh, I didn't mention this guy. So there's a quick shot in the bar early on. They bring in the cousin. So this is Mitch's cousin, quote, Bigfoot, this 300-pound, Kentuckian guy. He's basically just muscle. And they're going to have to go to this tailor, and he's part of the montage with them figuring out what they're going to wear. And this guy, this tailor, this is how they come out looking. Um, and I will say that the tailor has one of the best lines of the entire show about I'm going to make you look hotter than a three-peckered goat or something like that. And I cried laughing. I text Mrs. Pop, so made my day. And then they kind of go to their little party, and it's all just peeing contest nonsense. Well, he's drunk. That was like a brief little thing. And then you end up with um, the new, I guess, antagonist. Well, he's not really the antagonist. He's like the setup for the new antagonist, right? So he's kind of the antagonist, but there's a new person as well. So look, I like Neil McDonough. I just think that he's played this character before. We just got out of this, right? This whole cow thresher, corrupt business guy. He's in marijuana, probably in oil. All right, we just saw this thing. We saw this in Yellowstone, right? I'm sick of this role. This is kind of my only really big issue with episode 1 was his casting. Like this feels like just a generic recycled version of stuff he's already done. I really wanted to see more of like Boss Hog type oil shenanigans, but maybe that's just too ridiculous. I don't know. They didn't go for that. So it plays out fine, and it literally is just, eye to eye standoff, should I be intimidated kind of thing. They play it well, and then he calls someone named Jerry Izzo, who will presumably be the new big bad, if you will, for season 2. I don't know much about it. I think it's just kind of being set up for the next episode. That's where that's at. So our phone call kind of goes into there's just all sorts of little loose ends of things that are playing out. The episode kind of closes where we get the mobsters take care of one of the people. There's still people swamping him, because he's making news headlines now. He's like, oh, the mob comes to Tulsa, that kind of thing. So it definitely sets itself up for all these little threads of things for Dwight. If you love these type of crime stories, the fact that it takes place in Tulsa and you see Stallone, he has a great cast of characters around him. Episode 1 didn't really give us much with any of them. So I'm hoping that as we continue to unpack the season, we get a little more time for each of them. 2-3 minutes here will stack up very quickly. But this is all about Stallone every minute on screen, and we'll see kind of how it plays out from there. I love the show. I'm having a good time with it. It really delivered more than I expected for a season 2 start. We'll see how it plays out next week. Thanks for watching, everybody. Love to hear your thoughts and tell me what you think. I am Pops.
Adios, amigos.